Let's talk about changing the looks of our blog. So first of all, let's look at what our blog looks like right now. So I'm going to go over here and click View Blog. And this is what our blog looks like to anyone that comes to visit it. This is the default template that Blogger gives everyone who creates a blog. Let's look at some of the elements. First of all, across the top, you'll see our title. Then in the top 1/3 of the screen is an image. And then in the bottom 2/3 of the screen, we just have a solid color. And then in the middle, offset from the sides, we see our 2 blog posts that we wrote. And then over on the left side, we see a left sidebar that has a couple things in it. There's my profile, and then there's archive. And just to let you know, what archive does is shows you all the blog posts. So right now you can see here are the blog posts from January 2026. And if I click on that, it brings us to these 2 blog posts. So as we continue to write during the semester, it's going to say February, March, April, etc. All right, let's close that tab and go back to the dashboard. So there's a couple of things that we can do to change up the look of our blog. So first thing we're going to look at over here is theme. And when we go to theme, you'll see it tells you that my theme, my current theme, is called Contempo Light, and there's the option to customize it. Before we look at that, if you scroll down a little bit, here you'll see Contempo and 5 color options. So this one is ours. Here's that picture in the top 1/3. Here's the solid color in the lower 2/3. If you look at this next option, you'll see it's the same structure, but different colors. So now the image at the top is different. The solid color at the bottom is different. And you'll see that our blog posts are still set in the middle of this area of the screen, but now they're on a dark background instead of a light background. If we look at this one, same thing. You have an image on the upper 1/3. You have solid color on the lower 1/3. Same with this, same with this. So it is the same template, but it's got 5 different color stories that are preset for you. If you scroll down, you'll see there are other templates. So here's a template called Soho, and you can see this one is structured very differently. Here is the title. Here's a big picture. And then here's a blog post with a picture next to it and a left sidebar. When you look at this option, this option, this option, this option, you'll see it's the same template, big picture, blog and photo at the bottom, and then left sidebar, but the color story is different in all of those. So again, whenever Blogger presents you with a template, it gives you 5 color options that are preset, so you don't have to worry about messing around with the colors. I'm going to let you look at these on your own, but let's just look at a couple more. So here's Imperio. You can see now the sidebar is on the right. We have our most recent blog posts across the top, and then we have smaller versions of the blog posts on the bottom. Here's Notable. You can see there's no sidebar, and the blog posts stretch across the entire width of the screen. Here's one called Essential, where there's only one option. Here's Simple with several options. Here's Dynamic Views, etc., etc. You can look through the rest of these. The easiest way to change the look of your blog post is to pick a new template. But once you pick a new template, you do have the option of further customization. Let's go ahead and click Customize. And you'll see here, it shows us our blog post over in the right. And on the left, we have a few options that we can customize. So the first thing that you see is the background. This image, of course, is the same as this image over here. And if we want, we can either remove it or we can go ahead and change it with an image of our own. We also have a main theme color here. As I said, there's 5 color story options for each of the themes that are preset, but you can tweak those up yourself. So if I didn't want this color blue, I could click on it and change it maybe to green. Now you see that these, instead of being in blue, these words are in green. Let me change it back to some kind of blue because that is terrible. And then you always have the option, if it's terrible, of resetting the background and the color to the default just by clicking on this. Under advanced, there's a couple of other options. One that I do want to mention is that you have the option under page text to also change the color of the backgrounds, the color of the links, and the color of the blog title. You can change the default size of the font. You can change the default color of the font. And then you can also go into gadgets. So right now, the only gadget that we have is the About Me gadget. That's up over here. But if you click on that, you'll see that we're going to have some options to make a few changes in there as well. So that's one way to further customize your template. Let's go back to our main dashboard, and I'm not going to save my changes. And let's go to layout. So layout is something that I'm not sure that you're going to want to use, but I did want to just introduce it to you. So what this does is shows you the various elements. So here, for example, is the header. And I have the option of editing the header. So you'll remember this blog title is the very first thing that we typed in when we set up our blog. And now that you have a little bit of experience with your blog, maybe you want to change your blog title. And this is the place to do it. You also have the option of adding an image and a couple other things here. But changing the blog title is something that you might want to do. And then you can explore the changes that you can make in the blog posts, in the About Me, in the blog archive, etc. You also have the option of adding a gadget, but there are not very many useful gadgets here. Let's take a look at that. So you can see by this scroll bar, there's only this many gadgets for you to use. The only one you might want to use, you can see AdSense. Of course, we're not going to use that. Blog search is one that you might want to add. You have the option of doing a blog list. So maybe if you find some blogs related to technology and learning, you might want to list those in your sidebar. But for the most part, the only gadgets you need are the gadgets that are already there. One thing important that I want to mention is anytime you make a change, whether it's to any part of the layout, in the lower left corner here, you always want to make sure to save it. If you make a change, so I'm going to change my title here. If you make a change and try to go back to Blogger, it is going to remind you that you need to go ahead and save before you go back. So those are the ways that you can tweak up your blog and the way that it looks to the people that come visit it.